playing with like Carpe, Fury, Alarm,
You're like, I'll
Saddle,
be fine.
Like, who are these guys,
like...
you know? I think there was a lot of expectation and kind of a lot of pressure on me. Of course, he brought me up playing games with him. He was really the guy that got me into games.
Emotionally, what was that like?
It was pretty emotionally crushing.
Hello and welcome to the 2020 Overwatch League Player Roundtable, presented by Xfinity. I'm your host, Jake, caster and analyst for the Overwatch League. Joining me today is FunnyAstro from the Philadelphia Fusion.
Astro with the poop! Oh yes, that's what we like to see from our supports.
Thanks for joining me, FunnyAstro. Thanks for making the time all the way down there in Korea in quarantine. To kick things off, what I'm most curious about is just your very beginning in Overwatch.
I remember seeing the announcement and being really excited and thinking how fun it looked, and started playing with school friends, and yeah, it was considerably better than them.
At what point did it get like more serious for you?
Season 1 of Ranked, I wasn't that good. I'm around rank 60, which was pretty average, I think, for the time. And then Season 2, I remember the first weekend that Rank came out, I placed in Plat, and then in the space of like 3 days, I managed to get to GM. I think I kind of realized around that point that I was pretty good.
Yeah, I think once you get the highest rank, it's kind of hard to ignore anymore, I guess.
Yeah. I just played so much Ranked where I became like a recognized name on ladder and people knew who I was. And then I started playing in these weekly tournaments, like the Go for Overwatch tournaments. They were like $100 every week.
Was there a moment where you realized that there was a real possibility to do this like as a job?
I think one time I played against a team which had Fusions and Crusade on it. I got reverse swept by them in the finals of a UK LAN, which was a little sad. Both of them got offered to join what became British Hurricane. At the time was called Those Guys or something. I remember they were looking for a second main support player for Lucio Mercy meta, and then Crusade and Fusions, who had both played against me in a smaller tournaments, recommended me.
So kind of like just from having your name known and playing the local LANs, then that brought you to Contenders. Once you're playing in Contenders, did you kind of have your sights on the Overwatch League at that point? After
a couple of months in Contenders, I actually had my first OWL tryout out of nowhere, which was kind of random. I remember not doing that well. The eye-opening moment for me was because Hurricane was part of Cloud9, was when I finally joined the team. Like, I signed the contract and I joined, it's gonna sound weird, but I joined the Slack, the team Slack, the C9 Slack. And I remember seeing like all these names who I'd watched the whole time, like growing up as a kid.
How did people react when you started to play video games really seriously, started to compete, and then of course the milestone of like actually making it and having all these events? What was that like for the people around you?
My family has a lot of computers in the house. My dad is a programmer, or my mum works with him, and my brother is also a programmer. And when my dad was younger, he played a lot of video games. So of course he brought me up playing games with him. He was really the guy that got me into gaming. So when I made the decision to be like a pro gamer, he was of course 100% for it. My whole family like is along with me every step of the way, which is great.
I mean, your dad now has to get a little bit of credit, you know, for
I think he takes a lot of
Unreal Tournament.
he takes a lot of the credit for it.
Tennis for FunnyAstro through the window, doesn't manage to find 1, 2, and 3 kills.
Were people like shocked when they heard about your like playing professionally?
I think it wasn't really a surprise to some people who I played games with at school, because they all knew like how competitive I was.
How did you transition to Overwatch League? Like what happened? You know, why Philly Fusion, etc.
I was on Hurricane at the start of Season 2 of Overwatch League. I did a bunch of Overwatch League tryouts, and Boston ended up offering me, and that's when I signed with Boston. Obviously, got banned. That all fell through.
Well, first off, like emotionally, what was that like? I guess like had you kind of been like, oh, I made it and it's taken away?
It was pretty emotionally crushing. I think is one way to put it. Finally making it and feeling so happy about it, and going to an OWL team with Fusions, who I was meant to be going with at the time, and then just having that taken away was horrible.
So tell me about boosting.
As a kid, you know, I'm like 16 years old, and you see some way that you can earn like thousands of dollars a month, and look at that and you think that's crazy. The point where I stopped boosting was, I remember playing on my main account, like trying to push for top 10, and then getting people who had boosted on my own team, like knowing that they didn't belong in this rank, and then just losing because of them. I was just like, maybe this is a really bad thing for ranked. Maybe I'm doing something terrible here.
In that 6 months, was that like a renewed vigor to like sort of get what's rightfully yours?
I started full-time streaming like only a couple of days after I got banned. I was doing pretty good and managing to stream like 6 hours a day every single day, just off the motivation that one day this will help me get into Overwatch League when I'm unbanned, if I ever get unbanned, because I didn't know at the time. I think it was really hard though, when Owl started and I had the opportunity to like watch these matches.
Welcome back to the Blizzard Arena for the 2019 Overwatch League season.
And watch where I thought I should have been playing, and watch the other Lucio players who I thought I was better than, like playing in the league, and just kind of seeing like, I think I could do so much there, and then not being able to do anything was pretty horrible. We finally got a date where I would get unbanned, which was April 19th. It's a day I'll never forget. I mainly played for Atlanta Academy, a team which I've learned actually so much from, looking back on it now.
I got FunnyAstro here. Do you think that the Philadelphia Fusion, right now, are the best team in the Overwatch League?
I think we could be. Yeah, we could be.
So how did you take that experience and kind of run with it coming to the Philly Fusion?
Atlanta Academy in general was like a really young team. I think our average age at some point was like 16 or 17. It was crazy young and everyone really wanted to win. I think there's some maturity which, like myself included, some players on the team like definitely didn't have. When we lost, the atmosphere would definitely dip quite a lot. I learned from that it's more important when you're losing as a team that you need to be together and like hanging out and enjoying time together. Through Fusion, having so much confidence helps so much. Being in Overwatch League, just going into every match thinking that you're going to win, and then when you're losing, knowing to try and lose as a team, not as an individual.
Did you ever put expectations on yourself, coming into a team like the Fusion that had like really strong success every season, right?
Joining the Fusion, there are only 2 roles that don't have subs. It was me on main support and Sado on main tank. And I was pretty much a rookie to Overwatch League. I've played 1 map in the entirety of Season 2. I'm in this spot where I'm the only main support. So I think there was a lot of expectation and kind of a lot of pressure on me. I just had like so much confidence that even though I was the only main support coming in, I'd managed to hold my own and keep my mental strong. Playing with like Carpe, Fury, Alarm, Sado, Poco, all these like crazy names.
Yeah, you're like, I'll be fine. I'm better than all these guys. Like, no problem.
Like, who are these guys,
Has it ever been a negative for you, that like high level of pressure?
I'd say the one thing that I struggled with, or like have always struggled with in my career as a pro player, is just having confidence in my own flexibility. Obviously, I'm known for having an insane Lucio, but other heroes I've never been quite so good on. I think one player who really like stepped up and helped me was Boombox. Of course, he came in and played some BAP while I was definitely not so good on it. Although I was the only main support on the team, it was like a real breath of fresh air to have someone who could step in when I didn't have the confidence or the ability to play the heroes that I needed to.
How do you feel scrim-wise, gameplay-wise, coming into grand finals?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting playing against APAC teams. In my opinion, they're a little overrated. I think actually us and Shock are the 2 strongest teams here. Both of the APAC teams in, Shanghai and Seoul, kind of have a distinctive style. So far in playoffs, they've only really shown one thing. I think Shanghai have like mainly shown their Reaper Sombra comps, kind of the same as us, and then Seoul have shown a lot of the Hog Sigma. After our match against Justice, we can be really confident that we can play both of these team comps like at an elite level. Our Reaper Sombra, I think, is undoubtedly the best in the league. Obviously, we played against Washington Justice after losing to Shock. 1 day of preparation to beat that Hog Zarya when they were looking so strong the whole of playoffs, and then we managed to come up with this Hog Sigma comp, which we'd never played before, we'd never scrimmed. And we managed to beat Washington when they looked so strong and they'd been practicing it for weeks.
The fairy tale story for the Justice, the 12th seed, is going to end right here. The Fusion knocked them out in a 3-0 fashion.
So I'm super stoked to see all the teams play, like especially the clash between NA and APAC with all the drama. People have talked a big game. APAC's the tougher
APAC
region.
gets talked up the whole season,
Which I think on average, the APAC is a stronger
on
region,
average,
but
the APAC
I don't think
teams
that's
were
necessarily
better. But the top of the top between
that's the
NA
part where
and
I think
APAC.
a lot of people got it wrong, because in APAC you saw the bottom teams upsetting the top teams, but you don't ever see that in NA.
Yeah.
What a clinic, what a performance!
After you win the championship, what's next? Like, what do you want to do in the off season?
I have no idea what I'm going to do in the off season. Actually, it's going to be nice to go back to England and see my family. So obviously, I'd love to stay on Philly. I mean, it's a great team, great org. I can't name a single thing that's happened like badly this season with the team. So I just want to win this year, win next year, keep winning.
All right, so we talked a lot about your story up to this point, Astro, but in the here and now, obviously it's been a crazy year. Everybody is scrambling, and nobody more than players in the Overwatch League still working hard. So how do you manage to, in that whirlwind, stay connected with the people close to you?
I always call my parents and have to scrim, and it's really important that I have fast and reliable internet, and we have great internet at our Philadelphia Fusion apartments and at our facility.
Thanks so much to FunnyAstro for taking part, and to all the fans out there watching, thanks for tuning in, and I do hope you check us out on the next Player Roundtable presented by Xfinity.
Nice.